the sixth key of happiness. And that is, it's time to share. Once I discover the treasures that God is making available for me, the treasures that I have within myself, what must I do? Share that peace. Let me share that love. Let me share a little of that happiness. And what will happen very beautifully is that it'll multiply and it'll come. There's that exists in the East and the West, and that is that in giving, there is receiving. And we've heard it the whole of our life, but I'm not sure that we actually believe it. Because if we believed it, then there'd be a lot more giving that would be going. But it's actually very, very true. When I give a little bit of my time to somebody and show some care and compassion for them, the blessings that I get from them leave me with a great deal of contentment. I could have spent that time just going off and playing tennis, but if instead of that, give a little bit of my time to share and care for someone, now the contentment that I feel is a very different one than it would have been otherwise. How often is it that you share words of inspiration and encouragement with people around you? You walk into work and you get on with your work, and yes, you've done your work with honesty and integrity, and you get your paycheck, and you think you've done everything fine and it's okay. And yes, it is okay. But it could be a lot more than that. I walk into work, and instead of just rushing to my desk, it takes no more extra time to smile at the colleagues around me. How much time does it take to smile? Or, if I can see that here's somebody who's usually happy, light and smiling, and today I don't see a smile on their face, and I say to them, come, let's have a cup of coffee together, let's have a chat. Well, how much did that cost me? The cost of a cup of coffee? Well, that's not a big deal if it's going to give them a chance to open up their hearts, and maybe this is what they were waiting for somebody just to come along and say, come, I'm willing to listen. Share your story with me. I remember some years ago when I was in South Africa, I'm trying to think whether it was a Zulu woman or somebody from another tribe, but one of the women in South Africa, she said to me, within our culture, you don't ask a person, how are you? I was a bit surprised. And she said, if you ask a person, how are you? You have to be genuinely willing to listen to their story. You catch it, don't you? You know, for us it's a sort of curtsy. How are you? And the normal response you expect is, oh, I'm fine. And you would be very shocked if the person said to you, I'm feeling absolutely awful. And if they did, what would you do? Would you just say to them, okay, it'll be fine? Or would you say, okay, come, let's have a chat and talk about it? Now you can see why within that particular culture in Africa, if you ask a person, how are you, you make sure that you've got an hour to listen to their story. But But maybe it's not going to cost me an hour. Maybe it's just really a few words that they need. A few words of encouragement, a few words of comfort. But you can see how doing something for another, of course it's of benefit for them, but more than that, it's of benefit to myself. It's going to be bringing me their blessings and leaving me with that feeling of warmth and comfort that, yes, things are going the right way. I'm moving in the right direction in my own life, in the way that I should be going. And so, the sixth step is a step of learning to give. It's become a culture in which we've forgotten about giving. You know, even Christmas, on the one side you'd say that, well, of course it's a culture of giving. Not really. If I've sent out 100 cards and I only get 10 cards back in return, I'll feel devastated. It won't have been the thought that counts, in which I've said, you know, really, out of my feeling of love and friendship, I remembered you at this time of goodwill and good feelings. And so, in everything we do, there's a little calculation that's going on, consciously or unconsciously. But the spirit of giving is something else, in which, firstly, yes, what I have, let me share. I can share my time, I can share good wishes, good feelings, encouragement, all of this. But there's something even more that I can do. And that is become an instrument. And in that, I let my ego get out of the way, in which I think I can do something for another. And I simply become an instrument to be able to share the peace that only God can give. If I'm aware and I'm in the remembrance of God, then I can share the peace that God can give. If I'm receiving the love that God gives and I share God's love, then that's a very different quality of love that seeks absolutely no return. It's totally unconditional and not judgmental. And it's something that as I give, definitely it multiplies and it comes back to me, not only from the one receiving it, but also from the one above. So I get double benefit from that. And so to be able to give and become an instrument to be able to give. Try it even just a little, and you'll begin to get addicted to it. You'll begin to see how many blessings it brings you and what a joy it brings. And so your life is filled with constant happiness each moment of the way.